All right, we are going to do a drawing of a cone. The video below this shows you how to paint a cone, but it might be useful to know how to draw a cone. So I have my 9x9 piece of tag board here, and I'm going to start by just kind of planning, okay, where do I want my cone? A lot of people will make it really small, and I encourage you to try to make it bigger. It'll just make the next part, the painting part, a little bit easier on you. All right, so I like to start just by kind of blocking in where I want it to be. So really light and loose, I'll draw basically a V or part of a triangle, and then a curve at the bottom. It should look a little bit like a party cap, like a happy birthday hat, or a watermelon slice, right? Curved at the bottom and then pointy. I do want to show you how to do an accurate cone. So I have my basic shape, but to make it an actual cone, I'm going to do some drawing with my ruler. So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to lay it so it's parallel with the bottom of the paper, so it's an equal distance along. I can also check these edges, these markings on the ruler and make sure they line up with the edge. So if those line up there and those line up there, then I know that my ruler is perfectly horizontal. And I'm going to lightly do a line like that, okay? What I'm going to do now is a line that is perpendicular to that. It's a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to have it go through where I want the point of my cone to be. So I'll line it up so that it's parallel with the bottom of my paper again. I rotated my paper, so now it's parallel with the bottom of my paper. I can check these marks to make sure that the line passes through them. I can check the marks on the edge of my paper, and I'm going to do a line this way. Okay. So what I've ended up with is a cross or a T. That's not a cross, that's a cross. Cross or a T. So this will help me make sure that my cone isn't slanting side to side. Now, rather than just freehand it, I can make it a little easier on myself by actually measuring. So with my ruler, however wide I want the cone to be on this side, let's say 3 inches, I'll make a little mark there. And then I'll do the same thing here. So I'll move that 3 inches to the center, and I'll make a little mark at the end of the ruler, okay? Then, here, I'll clean up my marks first. Now I can go from the top of my line, wherever I want the top to be, out to that little mark that I made. So lay my ruler so it hits that mark and it hits the top of my cone, and then make a line. Do the same thing on the other side. So wherever that mark is that I made, making sure that it hits the top of the cone on the center line. Nice. And I maybe went over a little bit, so I'll clean that up. Okay, I'm going to decide where I want the bottom of my curve to be. So for me, it's gonna look pretty good at around, let's say 1 1/4, so I'll make a little mark. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. I'm going to try to do an even curve from this mark to the edge of the cone. So I'm gonna try to make a nice even curve, whoop, like that. That looks pretty good. Now here's the hard part, matching it on the other side. I always get one side that looks great and one side that looks wonky. It's just how it goes. So do your best. If it's not perfect, that's fine. I actually did pretty good that time. Normally it takes me a few times. Then I'm gonna clean up my extra marks on the outside. And my extra marks on the inside, so that cross on the inside and any sketch marks that I might have. Okay, now I'd like to add the back of the table or kind of a horizon line just to break up the space. That'll make it so our cone isn't floating in space, but it will give us the sense that it's sitting on a surface. So I'll line up my ruler so it's parallel with the top of the paper. Again, I'm checking to make sure that the edges of my paper mark up with the hash lines on my ruler. And then I'm going to go, whoop, and then when I hit the cone, pick up my pencil and continue it on the other side. So I have a cone sitting on a surface that is ready to paint. All right, see you in the next video.